Hi, I'm Robert, and today I'm going to take this image from here to here, all in Lightroom. I'm going to try and fix all of the problems with this image. My friend lent me a 70-200 to take this image. Back in 2014, I went to Griffith Observatory on a packed weekend. I parked at the bottom of the hill and hiked up. Once I got to the observatory, I took the hiking trail up to the Hollywood sign. About halfway to the sign, you'll get this view. I hiked up during sunset and then waited for twilight. The first thing I noticed was all of the haze. I really wasn't getting a clean image. I used a delay timer on my camera to avoid camera shake. This was one of the few sharp images I got. At 200 millimeters, combined with the wind, I was getting a slight amount of shake in each image. Let's see if we can turn this image around. I like to start at the bottom and work my way up. I'm on the current version. We might come back to vignetting. Let's press constrain crop and straighten this image. That looks better. Continuing up, I always enable these two checkboxes, remove chromatic aberrations and enable profile corrections. Here you can see I was using the Canon 70-200. Next up, let's go to sharpening. I'm going to do 80 of sharpening and applying a mask. Hold down Alt when applying the mask so you can see what you're sharpening. Let's sharpen everything besides the sky. If you sharpen the sky, you're just going to add more grain to the sky. Continuing up, we're going to skip this section, but we will return. Let's go to the basic panel. I took this image during blue hour, but we're getting a warm glow. So let's try and cool down this image. That's a good starting point. Now let's recover our highlights and bring our shadows all the way up. Open this image up. Let's set our base exposure by bringing the white point up until we clip and then backing it down. We're going to do the same with the black slider. Bring it down, we clipped, bring it back up. So now we have a nice starting point. I'm going to start by working on the sky. Let's grab a graduated tool, hold down Shift to get the straight line and pull it down. Let's press O to bring on our overlay. And you can see we're affecting everything in this area. I only want to work on the sky in the background, but not the observatory. So let's go down, click on Range Mask. Let's choose Luminance. Grab our pointer and bring it over this area. So now Lightroom automatically masks off all of the dark areas for us, so we don't have to do it manually. We still have a little bit of effect going on here, so we can go to our brush, hold down Alt, turns it into an eraser. And let's erase these areas that we don't want to be affected at the moment. Now we have a clean mask. Let's press O to turn it off. Since this was a blue hour image, let's try and make the sky more blue. We're going to use the color temperature and bring it down. And to add more blue in, let's bring the saturation up. This will be a starting point. Now I'm going to grab a new grad tool. I want to add a gradient of color. So we have a bright color down here and a darker sky up here. So let's grab our gradient, pull it down, just like this. So now we can press O. You can see the top of our sky we can make darker and it'll fade down to this area. So let's turn off our overlay and bring our exposure down. So now we have a nice dark sky that transitions more into a light sky, so it looks a little more natural. I'm going to bring the color temperature down also to add more blue to the top of the sky. So this is a good start. The biggest problem we have with this image is how faded the background looks. Let's see if we can fix that using the Dehaze tool. Let's bring it up a little bit. I think we'll go to 45. So it added a lot of contrast and sharpness into our background to make it look more sharp. It also affected our sky, so I'm going to readjust this top grad. Let's choose this top one that we were just working on, and let's drag it up a little bit, and let's try and widen the gradient. So let's press O so we can see where we're working. Let's continue to fine tune this. I want a really soft edge. something like this. Let's see how this looks. That looks a little better. It's just a little bit strong up top, so let's back it down a little bit. That looks a little better. So now we have a more natural looking sky. Dark, deep blue at the top, faded sky at the bottom. This makes sense to me because the buildings are emitting a lot of light, so it's overpowering the sky. But as we go up, we have more darkness. So this image is quite dark, and it's hard to see our observatory. So let's grab a brush, and let's try and brush in some brightness here. Press O to bring up your overlay, and let's brush in all of the white areas of the building, including the statue in front. So now let's turn off our overlay. Let's clean up the edges. It was kind of hard to see down here, so I'm just going to turn my brush into an eraser by holding down Alt. I'm going to turn my mask back on so I can see, and I'm going to erase these areas up here because I don't want any effect onto our dark areas. So now it looks like we have all of our light areas masked off. We can press O for overlay. So the problems I'm seeing with this building are it's very cool and it's very dark. So let's warm it up a little bit. And let's bring up the exposure now. That looks a lot better. Let's see a before and after. So here's before. All of our shadow tones are really blue. The whole building is dark. Now we have a nice warm glow and a much brighter scene. Let's close our brush. Let's go down to HSL. There's a bit of orange in our highlights here. Let's see if we can change that. We can adjust the hue slider from our orange and yellow to try and get rid of some of this red tone. Let's bring up orange a little bit and yellow. Let's check our work here. Here's before. And here's after. Looks a little more natural to me. Now we have a nice warm glow and we got rid of that red tint that we had. The main feature of this image is all in the center. So let's use a vignette to help draw our eye in to the middle. So we're going to grab a vignette. Let's bring it down. This is too much, but we'll back it off a little bit. Maybe -15. How about -5? So somewhere between -5 and 15 looks pretty good. This is very minimal effect. 15 is more of a heavier effect. I'll go somewhere in between. How about -10? In this image, we were able to fix our weird orange color cast. We also fixed our sky, got a nice gradient of color from the top to the bottom. We used Dehaze to bring out the background, and we used a brush tool to brighten up our observatory. When I originally took this image, there was no dehaze option in Lightroom, and I wasn't able to fix this image. Now with Lightroom's dehaze option, as well as range masking, I was able to get a pretty good result from this file. I never thought I could make this image look so good. It's still not a great image, but it came out pretty good considering the equipment I was using and the conditions that I was shooting in. Hopefully one day I can return with a longer lens in more clear conditions. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Thanks.